What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to another video. We've got a lot of NASCAR news we need to catch up on and talk about today, including talking about the Spire situation, talking about the sponsorship announcements from this morning, the Michigan TV ratings, and we're going to talk about DGM as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. As it was announced yesterday, Spire Motorsports will be expanding to a two-car operation for the 2021 season. They have bought the 95 charter and the assets of the 95 organization. So they will have two cars for the 2021 season, which we all saw this coming. There's no surprise there. Like I said, we pretty much knew that they were going to buy everything up. They have said that they're not really working on getting these cars as good for their organization currently at the moment because they're waiting until 2022, which makes sense. You don't want to really invest in your new organization. You really don't want to invest too much right now if you're a startup organization because the 2022 car is coming around, the next gen car, and you're going to have to rebuild a new car, and it's just going to cost a lot more money. So that's why, in my opinion, they're not as fast as they could honestly be. But it's no surprise that Spire isn't as quick right now. But, I mean, Rick Ware continues to extend his partnership in NASCAR because Rick Ware Racing has pretty much bought everything in the small business. You look at the 77 organization and probably the 74 car. Another thing I've been hearing is that Justin Haley could end up being one of the drivers. Justin Haley has driven for Spire in the past, but the other driver I've been hearing maybe is Ross Chastain, linking in with Chip Ganassi. So who really knows what's going to happen? What I think is going to happen, though, is that there's going to be one full-time car and one car with a rotation of drivers. So, for instance, like Ross Chastain takes one of the cars, and then you have like Reed Sorensen, Garrett Smithley, maybe Blake Jones, like that kind of rotation for the other organization there. The Michigan TV ratings did come out, and they were not very pleasant. Saturday's race averaged a 1.0 rating and 1.65 million viewers. Meanwhile, Sunday's race averaged a 1.4 rating and 2.37 million viewers. This is down from last August's race, which only had a 1.8 rating and 2.9 million viewers. Honestly, it's no surprise. People probably didn't even know there was a race going on Saturday. Everyone knew there was a race going on Sunday. But unless you're like a hardcore fan like myself or some of you guys watching this video, some of us probably didn't know that there was a race on Saturday unless you're like a hardcore fan. Another possibility is a lot of fans are probably getting burnt out. People want to do something else. I can't blame people for getting burnt out. I've honestly kind of at times have been burnt out watching sport. My vacation, of course, to Tanterra or Margaritaville was kind of a good break from that in a sense. But, I mean, there's no surprise the Michigan TV ratings were really down at this point. It's really no surprise. On to the next story. BetMGM and NASCAR have announced a multi-year sports betting partnership, and I believe they have become an official brand of NASCAR. Great stuff there. Next story, Kevin Harvick is going to be starting on the pole for the Cup race at Daytona with the new starting lineup procedures, with everything being taken into account and how dominant Kevin Harvick was at Michigan. It is no surprise that Kevin starts on the pole. I believe Denny Hamlin will also be on the front row for this weekend as well. So expect the two dominant cars of this year to basically be up front. But again, it's Daytona, so there's a lot of possible outcomes that can take place for Daytona road course. And now we get into the three big announcements that did take place. Roush Fenway Racing tweeted out they had a big announcement coming out. I thought it was possibly going to be a Darlington throwback coming out. It actually is not. Roush Fenway announced this morning that Guaranteed Rate will sponsor the 6 for 11 of the last 14 races. This includes the Daytona Road Course and the Phoenix Championship coming up later this year. Great to hear on that front. On to the next sponsorship announcement. Acronis, which actually sponsored Roush Fenway earlier this year, will sponsor Hendrick Motorsports through the 2023 season. This is going to start with 3 primary races on the 88, the Texas, and the Dover doubleheaders. And Acronis will be associated on all 4 cars and get its logo on uniform and equipment starting in 2021. This is going to help Alex Bowman. Pretty much, this helps the 88 car keep their sponsorship. This will also happen for next year because, again, the 88 car is really looking for sponsorship, and with this announcement coming out, it pretty much guarantees that there will be 4 cars at Hendrick Motorsports for the 2021 season, especially if Eric Jones does get announced to come over to Hendrick Motorsports next year. You risers will probably come over with them, so that will help out with Hendrick Motorsports because it is expected Eric Jones will probably be going to Hendrick Motorsports. On to the next story, the final sponsorship announcement as well. Bubba Wallace has a new sponsor with the organization. Columbia Sportswear has signed a new deal with Bubba Wallace and Richard Petty Motorsports that includes Wallace promoting the brand's performance fishing gear and Columbia sponsoring the 43 at Dover. And apparently, there is more sponsorship that is on the way for Bubba Wallace for the 2020 season and possibly in the future, depending on if he stays with the organization or goes to different organizations. Everyone is saying that there's a good chance that Bubba will remain with, as this might be the big announcement they were looking at, with more possible sponsorship announcements on the way in the future. I'm not sure. There is a good chance that Bubba will remain with the organization, but he did talk about Pockris earlier today, and he said that, you know, he's probably not going to, he's not sure where he's going next year. I mean, there's also a possibility that the 43 team could be partnering up with Chip Ganassi Racing as aligned with Chip Ganassi. That is also another possibility that has been rumored. But it's really great to see that we're continuing to see sponsorship in NASCAR. And great that Bubba continues to bring sponsors because Bubba is become a face in NASCAR. And the fact that he continues to bring sponsorships to the sport is really awesome to see. On to the next story. Bobby Labonte has become the 4th driver to be announced to race in the inaugural SRX. Along with Tony Stewart, Tony Kanaan, and Paul Tracy. He is the next driver to be announced in the series. That means we have 4 of the 12 drivers announced for the series. Great to see Bobby Labonte back in racing. The last time, well, he was racing earlier, I think last year, he was racing in the Euro Series. It's been a little bit. He hasn't raced a car like this, whatever the car is going to be. Really cool to see Bobby Labonte racing in the XRX. On to the next story. Speedsport has announced a digital partnership with NASCAR. They've been around since 1934. It's really great to hear this because Speedsport is kind of like a pretty big deal. A lot of people know what it is, and it's great to see that Speedsport has partnered up with NASCAR. Now we get into the final story, and this is going to be a little bit of a deep rabbit hole. You remember that 75-point penalty and that $50,000 fine that DGM got last week for driving on the SCCA race and driving a NASCAR car? Well, that has been replenished. They no longer have that penalty coming. That means they will earn all the points back. The suspensions are gone for Mario Gosselin. And that might change the starting lineup for the race for this one, which Alice Bay is an underdog in this race. But yeah, I'm not surprised that this decision did come around because DGM, they really never... I mean, they kind of were against testing policies. I guess I really don't know. But honestly, no surprise that DGM, this penalty did get rescinded. So that is great news to hear. Wow, we got this video done in literally 8 minutes. Yeah, there was a lot to talk about. I just wanted to breeze through some of the NASCAR news that we did get over this past week. First thing I want to say at the end of this episode, though, is I would thank you guys so much for your continued support on this channel. I do really appreciate it. We are at 260 subscribers on this channel. We're 40 away from 300. The fact that I've been able to continue doing this channel and continue to make good content for you guys is excessively appreciated. And thank you guys so much for your continued support. I really appreciate it. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Turn notifications on so you'll be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Links description below for that. And comment with your thoughts on today's video. What do you think about Spire Motorsports buying up 2 cars for next year? Let me know in the comments below. And what do you think about all these race teams getting major sponsorship announcements for the rest of the season and the future? Let me know in the comments below. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.